Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahai Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who have taught us this truth and rule well. Peace and salutations to the chosen and the elect. I'm Ari Azabat out of the GMS Dallas camp, and I'm entitled this lesson here, don't be proud. Amongst our people, the nation of Israel, we look at the things of this world and believe that this is the way out. And, most of us, and I'm speaking only to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you think that getting an education, getting a degree and trying to find a good career, is the way to the American dream. And having these things and possessing them, not knowing that, this place is going to be destroyed and the things therein with it. That's why Yahweh Shai said that the things in this world, rust, it gets old, dirty, but it becomes old. But in the kingdom, things are new, where they don't rust. And roughly paraphrasing. So, also with that being said, that's the spirit of our enemy, who has brought us in captivity, who is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. So let's go ahead and get rid of the precepts here. I'm going to start at Proverbs 16 and 18. And it reads, "Pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before a fall." Okay? And let's grab a precept to that, because, that's one of the things that the Most High hate is a proud person, And what's that in? Let me see if I can get that real quick. I believe it's in Ecclesiastes, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Yeah, this is Ecclesiastes chapter, Ecclesiasticus, Salakia, chapter 25 and verse 2, and it reads, "Three sorts of men my soul hated, and I am greatly offended at their life. A poor man that is proud," you see, "a rich man that is a liar, and an old adulterer that doted." All right. So, backing up the scripture here in Proverbs 16 and 18, "Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." And these are the things that, brings forth destruction, whether you are, a king that's proud, letting you know that your rulership is not going to last that long, because the Most High hated, he build kings up and he bring them down as well, you see. So let's grab Isaiah, the 14th chapter, and let's get precept here, a few precepts. This is Isaiah, the 14th chapter, verse 4, and it reads, "That thou shalt take up his proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, How had the oppressor ceased the golden city?" You see? And, that's, symbolize their power, when you look at Babylon the Great, because, Babylon is one of the, which is America, a lot of countries are afraid of them because, they have dropped the nuclear bombs. One of the blessings that Esau was given is the sword, that he was going to live by the sword. Also Job 9 and 24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, So this mighty king, this mighty Babylon that's being spoken of here, is asking a question: how had the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. And we can get that in Nahum. Let's go to Nahum 3:1, because it talks about the destruction, and it reads, Nahum 3:1, woe to the bloody city, it is all full of lies and robbery, the prey departed not. And how is it all full of lies and robbery? Because the people over here, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, say they discovered America, which they committed genocide upon you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, mainly speaking of the Northern Kingdom, with Gad. You see, and and then ended up bringing the rest of the tribe over here with the Southern Kingdom. All right. So that's what that's going into. All right, let's go back to Proverbs chapter 16. All right. And matter of fact, let's go back to Isaiah, the 14th chapter. All right, this is Isaiah chapter 14 in verse 4 again, and it reads, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how had the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased. And that's, the destruction that's coming to America, Babylon the Great. Verse 5, and it reads, Yahweh had broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. And that's, which is symbolizing their power again, bringing them down. Verse 6. Yeah, we'll go ahead and read verse 6 too. He who smote the people in wrath with a continuous stroke, he that ruleth the nations in anger, is persecuted and none hinder it. You see? So, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, he have committed all of these atrocities, these evils, and again, where it says, he that ruleth the nations in anger, this is, Esau, Edom, being the hammer of the earth, we want to take up all the resources, going around colonizing, conquering and colonizing, these different lands. All right. And this man is showing his pride. And that's through his blessing of the sword. All right. So let's go back to Proverbs, the 16th chapter. And let's get verse 19. All right. And it reads, better is it to be of an humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. All right. And we can get a good precept of that, concerning Moses. Let's grab that in Hebrews 11th chapter. Let's get verse 23 and 25. All right. And it reads, Hebrews 11 and 23. By faith, Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents, because they saw he was a proper child, and they were not afraid of the king's commandment. Verse 24, by faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. And, that's going into, Moses, they was killing the sons and stuff. And Moses, was sent into the river, into in a basket, and was delivered, In verse 25, is moving forward until when he had, became a man. And it reads, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of the Most High than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. So he chose to, suffer affliction of his people, he chose wisdom, knowledge, and understanding versus, being in the position he was in Egypt, because Moses was doing well, you know, if you want to look at it that way financially, of the things of the world. But he chose to suffer affliction with his people, which are the Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, because we were all together in captivity under the Egyptians. All right. So let's go back to Proverbs 16th chapter, and let's get verse 20, and it reads, "He that handled a matter wisely shall find good, and whoso trusted in Yahweh, happy is he." All right. And again, let's read that one more time. And basically, it's saying those who listen to instruction will prosper pretty much, and those who trust Yahweh, will be joyful. And let's get a precept to that, because we gotta get the whole matter here. Let's get Ecclesiastes verse 12 and 13, and it reads, "Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man." And that's what we should be doing, is fearing Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai, and not being prideful. Okay. I have another precept, and this here is in Sirach. Let's grab that. Sirach, the 28th chapter, I believe. Yep. This is Sirach chapter 28, and we're going to start from verse 8, and it reads, "Abstain from strife, and thou shalt diminish thy sins, for a furious man will kindle strife." And this is something that, our people have a problem with, why it's so important to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. That no, you're not going to be safe by keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. But it's good for your character. You got to also have faith in Yahweh Shai through his death, burial, and resurrection. Okay. And it reads again, "Abstain from strife, and thou shalt diminish thy sins. And a furious man will kindle strife." And that's pretty much, contention, man. Let's get a precept to this right here. It's still in Sirach chapter 1 and verse 22, because it goes into that furious. And it reads, Ecclesiasticus 1 and 22, "A furious man cannot be justified, for the sway of his fury shall be his destruction." You see? And that's what happens when you have that mindset. All right. "Abstain from strife, and thou shalt diminish thy sins, for a furious man will kindle strife." And when you're in anger and rage, those are demons and stuff upon you. Okay. Verse 9, "A sinful man disquieted friends, and make it debate among them that be at peace." And again, when you start looking at Jake, especially, the 2/3, the wicked 2/3, these are the things that they do, And when it speak about them, debate among them that be at peace, those are the ones who, the chosen and elect, who has that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Verse 10, "As the matter of the fire is, so it burneth, and as a man's strength is, so is his wrath. And according to his riches, his anger riseth. And the stronger they are which contend, the more they will be inflamed." All right. And the next verse, the next three verses, two verses, kind of explains what's going on. "And hasty contention kindled a fire, And in hasty fighting shedded blood. And here's the point: if thou blow the spark, it shall burn. So, one thing about fire, when you starting a fire, that spark, starts a little burn. It's kind of like how it looks on an incense, but if you blow on it, it intensifies the fire. It increases the heat, and that's the same thing with when you're dealing with fire. It needs three things. It needs oxygen, energy, and heat. Well, those one of the elements that it really needs is oxygen. You blow on a fire, the fire's going to increase. So it's the same thing as far as someone being contentious, having contention with someone, and that's what's going to end up happening. You're going to kindle a fire. And that's how you get into a hasty fighting, shedding blood, meaning that, it can grow and intensify into murder, blood touching blood, those things. And it's part of breaking the commandments as well, too, not keeping them, having an evil eye toward your brother, and those are some of the curses that you find in Deuteronomy chapter 28. All right. Verse 13, and it reads, the last verse, curse the whisperer and double tongue, for such have destroyed many that were at peace. And these are the, wicked 2/3, that get caught up in these contingencies. All right. So let's go ahead and go back to Proverbs. Let's go back to Proverbs. Chapter 21, verse 16, chapter 16, verse 21. All right. And it reads, the wise in heart should be called prudent, and the sweetness of the lips increaseth learning. Verse 22. And that's, let's go back to that, the wise in heart, which is your mind, should be called prudent, and the sweetness of the lips increaseth learning. And anytime you're operating with this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding through these scriptures, the precepts, you walking in the spirit. And when you're making those wise decisions, the things you say, the words that come out of your mouth, it should be learning for someone, because that's what, the men of the Lord do. There are priests, preachers, and prophets, so your lips is going to increase that learning. All right. Verse 22, understanding is a wellspring of the life unto him that had it, but the instruction of fools is folly. You see? And that's where, going back to being proud, those are fools. You don't want to end up in that state. You want to be the one that's, the chosen and elect that has this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, going out throughout the four corners of the earth, preaching the word to the scattered Israelites. All right. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. And with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raha Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who have taught us this truth and rule well. Peace and salutations to the chosen and elect. Shalom.